Welcome to Mangastorian's Complete Story Series. Today we'll be covering Berserk, Chapter 54 to 58. All alterations of the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, at the end of our last video, Guts was reunited with Casca and the Hawks in their attempts to rescue Griffith, who had been held prisoner for the past year. While a small group headed over to Wyndham to free Griffith from the Tower of Rebirth, back at the Hawks camp, demons started to show. Now at the lowest level of the tower, Guts opened the cell door to find the beaten and broken Griffith laying there. Once the cell door swings open, everyone looks at his body, and Guts' heart begins to sink. Griffith's body has begun to deteriorate, and most of the flesh has been ripped from his body. Casca begins to walk forward, and Guts shouts at her to stay away. Casca stops in place, and then Judo takes a key to unlock the clasp, holding Griffith's helmet on. Once he pulls it away, Guts and Judo see Griffith's face, or at least what it used to be. Guts shouts that this can't be Griffith, but as Griffith opens his eyes and sees Guts, his eyes begin to widen. Guts holds on to his old friend, but as Griffith tries to talk, no words come out. So Guts is left to hold Griffith and cry. Suddenly, everyone hears the cell door shut, and the deformed executioner tells everyone that it seems they're trapped here. But do not worry, princess. He has called the guards, and they'll be here in a few moments. Guts stands and asks the executioner if he's the one who did this. But the executioner says that the king told him to do whatever he wanted to him, and all the things that he did to Griffith. First, he cut his tendons in his hands and legs, and then he peeled his skin down to the bone. Sometimes he would burn him with a hot iron, or soak him in a boiling water bath. But what he's most proud of is the tongue that he cut out, and now wears as an amulet. Guts stomps his foot, and the executioner says that there's no point. And in a flash, the end of Guts' sword shoots out of the door, skewering the executioner. The executioner tries to tell him to stop, but Guts takes out his dagger, and he slices off the executioner's tongue. He then holds the deformed body over the pit, and the executioner attempts to ask for help, but Guts tells him, "I can't understand you. You need to speak more clearly." Suddenly a bolt cuts through the air and lands at Guts' feet, and he looks back to see the guards surrounding him, blocking their escape route. They shout for everyone to surrender, but Guts doesn't say a word. He tells everyone to follow him, and he begins to charge up the stairs. Body parts begin to fly as Guts rips and smashes his way through the guards. The guards stop in shock as they see Guts never break his momentum, and they see him continuing right towards them. More bolts begin to fly, but using one of the other guards' bodies, he shields himself and he slams the sword into more guards. They begin to retreat, but the leader of the guards tells everyone to stop. But Guts doesn't stop, destroying everyone in his path, fleeing or not. As blood begins to rain down from the higher levels, Casca tells everyone that they need to move out. They will not let Guts get too far ahead of them. And outside of the tower, the captain waits with a wall of soldiers waiting for the recon to return. One of the guards mentions that he hears voices, and then bodies come flying out of the entrance, with Guts following closely behind. One of the guards sees what's going on, Guts sitting there, soaked in the blood of his comrades. And he shouts that that is the 100-man killer. And the guard captain tells everyone to surround him. The guards are petrified. They don't move. And the captain walks towards Guts, telling him that he's a fool for showing the enemy that he's tired. But as the captain continues talking down to him, Guts gets back up and smashes through his head. Casca and the rest of them finally manage to get topside, and all they see is Guts tearing through the guards. Casca manages to kill off any stragglers, and then suddenly a voice calls out to them, telling them to stop. Through the crowd, the old king says that he can't hurt Charlotte. All of the troops need to pull back. He drops his cane and he says that he won't let Griffith take away the light that is his Charlotte again. So bring out the Bakiraka. A short while later, 5 beings step forward, and one of the guards asks, "Who are they?" And another captain says that they are a powerful gang of assassins, sort of a murder guild. Even though it's a religion, it's all covered in secrecy. The king shouts for the Bakiraka to go. Bring back his daughter and Griffith's head. Back inside, Casca and the rest of them walk through the hallways looking at the bloody destruction that Guts has left behind, and then they finally see him. Charlotte tugs in the back at Griffith, telling him that she's scared of that man. Casca takes up a cloth to wipe away any of the blood, and startled Guts asks what is she doing. Casca tells him that she's cleaning the blood. He's scaring the princess. Griffith watches as Casca continues to wipe the blood away, and then the look in his eyes begin to change. The group continues down into the sewers, and Guts tells everyone to stop. But as he listens, he hears the water dripping, and that's when he sees one of the Bakirakas. A tall, lanky man dropping down from the ceiling, slashing away towards the group, and then he begins climbing back up. Guts tells everyone to be careful, and then a face appears in the water underneath Casca. The man then thrusts a small trident up, but Casca blocks the attack, stabbing downward. The attack misses, and everyone watches as a small man swims backwards away from everyone. Judo mentions that those men are the Bakiraka. For the king to hire them, he must be really pissed. Charlotte notices the man and sees him ready with a blowgun aimed right at Griffith. The dart shoots from the gun, and without a second thought, Charlotte extends her arm to take the hit. Everyone looks back to see Charlotte drop to her knees. Anna rushes over to tend to Charlotte as Guts hacks away at the drain pipe. The small man jumps out of the way, and with one more backswing, Guts cuts that man in half. Suddenly, the lanky man appears again between the walls. The man offers a deal. Give him the princess and he'll guarantee her life, because that dart was poisoned. Casca looks back at Charlotte and then says, "Fine, you have a deal." The man then tells Anna to bring the princess and make sure not to do anything since she's not a part of the battle, or he will kill her. Charlotte reaches out to Griffith and tells him that she wants to be together with him. Griffith looks at her and then he begins to try and tell her something. And once he's done, Charlotte just closes her eyes and Anna takes her away. As she walks, Anna sees another Bakiraka, and she tells her, "Right this way." As the two of them leave, the lanky man says that it's time for them all to die now. But from behind the group, the man in the water leaps up to attack, and Pippin deflects it. He begins attacking the water, and the lanky man begins to jump up and over the group. Casca tells everyone to form a circle around Griffith, and the lanky man calls out that it's time. Down the sewer, the large, muscular Bakiraka holds out a spear, and he launches it. Guts notices the spear, and at the last second brings up his sword to block it. The power of the spear knocks Guts to the ground, and then starts bouncing him backwards. He gets back up, stating that spear had the power of a cannon behind it. He then shouts for everyone to duck as another spear is coming in. He blocks the second attack, and Judo notices something. He turns off the lamp, and he tells Pippin to hit the wall as hard as he can on his signal. The muscular Bakiraka sees the light go out, and Judo gets into position. He throws a knife, and it starts to bounce off the walls, and then he throws a second knife, watching the sparks from the hits against the wall. And that's when he sees him. With two more knives, Judo quickly lunges forward and throws it to hit the water, and then back up, hitting the muscular man in the throat. Judo then calls to Pippin to do it now, and as the sparks light the passageway up, everyone attacks! Casca stabs down on the man in the water, and Guts splits the lanky man's head in two. As the bodies fall back into the water, Guts tells Judo that was incredible. Casca tells him to go ahead and turn the light back on, and then Guts asks if anyone smells something. They all begin to cough, and Pippin tells everyone not to light the torch, just run for the exit. Off in the distance, they see the woman who walked Anna out, and they notice that she's striking her bracelets together to make a spark. Fire begins rushing towards the group, and everyone starts to run. It begins to burn the bodies of the dead Bakiraka, and it starts to get closer and closer to the group. And seeing a crack in the ceiling, Pippin strikes the ceiling and tells everyone to duck. The fire rushes by and through the opening, shooting up outside. The blast lights up the graveyard, and Guts asks what the hell happened. Pippin tells him that he's been through a ton of these accidents in a mine. Fire always escapes upwards. Everyone tells him that it's amazing that he thought of that, and Pippin says that it wasn't him who noticed it. It was Griffith. Guts smiles, and the group continues onward. Back over at the castle, the king forces the female Bakiraka to her knees and he stabs her. As she falls to the ground, he tells her that he thought he made himself clear when he said no one harms the princess. The king then turns to Anna asking if she was a part of this, but Charlotte struggles, telling him no. She was the one who dragged Anna into this. And as Anna runs over to catch Charlotte from falling, she tells the king to forget about Griffith. He tortured him for a year. He can't even move his arm and legs or even talk. The king turns away and says that he understands. He won't touch him anymore. Charlotte smiles as she begins to go back to sleep, and once the king walks away, he tells the guards to send for the Black Dog Knights. Tell them to find Griffith and kill him. The guards ask if he's sure, and the king slaps them, stating, "If you bring me Griffith's head, I'll give you anything." As the king walks off, the guard tells another guard that those men are a bunch of criminals. They'll bring disgrace to the Midland Army. Elsewhere, the leader of the Black Dog Knights sits in his chambers with women all around him. Suddenly, the door opens as one of the men tell him that they have a job, and the leader says that he's busy right now. Plus, he has something important to do anyway. The man laughs, stating that it's an order from the king. He said the leader of the Hawks escaped. The leader begins to strangle the women in his lap, stating, "That's funny, because the thing that he had to do was kill the leader of the Hawks, Griffith." The story's continuing, and it's just getting more and more insane, and I want to know down below, what do you guys think about Berserk? Follow us on Twitter at Mangastorian, and I'll see you next time.